Dude, it's ass right now. We'll see if it picks up. I actually can't see it picking up very well, but we'll see. If it's laggy, I'm sorry. I'm so very sorry. There's not much I can do. Hello. There's a good chance it's gonna be laggy, but we're just gonna figure it out. Yo, really going through it. Yeah, it's gonna have a bit of a lag. I don't know what's going on with it, but it's being a bit laggy. So I don't know why, but that's okay. You know, we win some, we lose some. What can you say? Let me see if I can fix it. Give me 1 sec. Hey, yo. What the fuck? Dude, no, your boat looks sick. I knew you were building a boat. I didn't know the extent at which the boat was being built, though. But it looks really good. My chapter's not popping up. Piss me off. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Okay. We are... Me and EPUB are... sorry, no, not EPUB. I know, I read all my books legally. We're about to fight, though. This whole system's what I'm about to fight. I'm about to fight this whole system. It's all glitching out. What the fuck is this? I feel like I'm having a... I'm dying right now. It's not working for me. Why is there lag? Dude, it is bad. It's bad lag. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I read all my stuff legally. It was just a slip of the tongue because I was reading a document that was sent to me over EPUB and I got them confused. I'm gonna give it a minute. I'm gonna give it a minute. Has it ended? Let me know when it ends. Is the lag over? That's what I'm waiting for. If the lag's gone. 5 frames per second. Bro, I don't even wanna look at it. No, dude. That fucking girl today, that was crazy. Cause she was like, she pops up. We're standing in line for coffee. So we're fucking standing in line for coffee. Get a load of this, chat. We're standing in line for coffee. She fucking pops up. I'm getting my drink. I'm waiting. Yada, yada, yada. She goes, hey, do you do Lord of Mysteries content? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, your TikTok popped up in my feed. I watched it and it was like really good and it's like enjoyable. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. And then we're like chit-chatting about the day and blah, because there's a coffee shop. It's literally right fucking there. She probably lives in my building. Anyway, so then I'm like sitting there and I'm about to grab my coffee and then she goes, yeah, like goon or be goon, right? And I just... to say that one again, babe? Because here's the thing. We would have been friends. Like, I would have been her fucking friend. Because I was like, we obviously get along. We share hobbies. But I just lost all train of thought. I couldn't fucking collect my thoughts. No, dude, if this isn't the consequence, because here's the thing. I did this expecting to never see people in, like, the real world who see me online. And then she fucking said that, and I was like, no. I literally froze. My brain short circuit. I go, huh? And she goes, oh yeah, like what you said. And I go, haha, that's so funny. I grabbed my coffee, I bolted out of there. I didn't even fucking wait to see what she said. I said, thanks so much, like that's so funny, have a good day. If you ever see this girl at the coffee shop that we met, it was literally nothing against you. I just was not. Apparently, here's the thing. I learned something today. The only person that can shut me up is me. And you showed me that today. So thank you. And I'm gonna go to that coffee shop and I'm gonna try and meet her again. I'm gonna try and find her. That was crazy. Dude, is she in chat? That'd be fucking insane. She just pops up in chat. She just, hey babe, it's all good. And I'd be, wait, I promised. What floor are you on? Come down. Come join stream. Oh my god. We're gonna start with the book though, because guess what we got? Chapter 617. The Mysterious Adam. So here's the thing. We know nothing about Adam. Okay, I heard it. We know a little bit about Adam, but we don't really know anything about Adam. I'm excited to learn more about him. I'm pretty sure it's Amon's brother. They were giving brother vibes. If not brother, then like related in some way, like maybe like distant cousin or something. So we're gonna see. 10 chapters. We're gonna do 10 chapters, absolutely. If I ever shut the fuck up, maybe we can get to a chapter. Jesus Christ, Dara, stop talking. Okay, chapter 617, The Mysterious Adam. The son of the creator. Nice. Alger was stunned by the hermit's description, as he couldn't help but twitch his brows. However, he didn't directly... I did not do 10 chapters. I did like 7? How many chapters? I did 6. I only did 6. I came short. But I got like 60%. I got a passing grade. I got a better percentage in the chapters I was supposed to read than I did on either of the tests. So, I call that a win. Besides, he was very confident that there would be another member asking. The son of the creator, Fours asked with pique interest. She never expected that Amon had such a shocking identity aside from the not the titties. Nope. It was titles. And that's it for stream, guys. We're gonna wrap it up right there. We're gonna wrap it up. Right fucking there. Holy shit. The titles like Blasphemer and King of Angels. She was filled with curiosity over this. Calia swept her a look and said without a change in tone, legend has it that back when the original creator split into various deities and races, his body produced 2 babies. See, I fucking knew it. Hold up. I fucking knew that this dude had these kids. Okay. Split into various deities and races. His body produced 2 babies. One of them was Blasphemer Aemon. The mirror inside Aemon's mausoleum was somewhat different from your description. Back when Amon and Adam were born, the Creator had just awoken and withdrew the authorities of the ancient gods. He was seated high on the holy mountain and was surrounded by angels as they praised him. There was no sign of him dying or splitting. That mural does have something in common with the City of Silver's historical records. Perhaps the Creator had really awoken twice, and perhaps the original Creator and Amon's father big brain shit. The Creator, as recorded by the City of Silver, aren't the same person. Oh, okay, never mind. Should have read ahead. Both of them have an inherent relationship. As Klein listened to Ma'am Hermit's description, he began theorizing. Amon is actually the son of the Creator. Oh, yeah. Such a status is in no way inferior to a true god. As for Mr. Fool, our tarot club was able to easily purify his avatar and stop his possession. Audrey recalled the past matters and suddenly felt that she had unknowingly exceeded many ordinary beyonders, the circles and levels of knowledge exposure that the two groups had differed in more than 100 times. This is not a mega hat. Don't ever come at me with that shit. Disgusting. Disgusting shit. Don't ever come at me with that. Fucking nasty, bro. It's sports. Oh wait, sports. Because I watch sports. Specifically, hockey. Especially when it reviles a Chinese, oh no, he's Korean. A Korean Canadian and a Russian. And it is on every Thursday night. Sports. Disgusting. Fucking get that shit out of here. Piss me off. Fucking naga. She asked with piqued interest, Ma'am Hermit, do you know the other son of the Creator, Adam? Catlia answered succulently. Succulently is not the word. Succinctly. Succinctly? I'm just gonna leave it. Audrey was clearly taken aback. This was because her question only required a yes or no. After receiving... Okay, now you guys... Okay, fuck you guys. Now I'm insecure. I'm changing my hat. Now I'm changing my fucking hat. Thanks to you guys. Now I'm changing my hat. Because now I'm all insecure about my hat. And I blame you. And you know what? Piss me off with your shit, okay? Anyway, after receiving the confirmation that she knew, she would ask for the details and make it clear that she was willing to pay for it. Who knew that Ma'am Hermit was directly giving her the name Adam? She doesn't seem to care too much about such information. She's in control of a lot of information. Audrey managed to interfere certain matters through the details as her eyes... She's in control of a lot of information. Audrey managed to infer certain matters through the details as her eyes darted around. I've never heard of an important figure named Adam. I haven't either, apart from being required. Hey, Kemi, I didn't know you'd be here today. How you doing? What comment did you make? Okay, I'm gonna write down this stuff. I got my pen. Guys, I tried to draw something yesterday. Sorry, let me just get... Dude, that photo's crazy. Okay, so I've never heard of an important figure named Adam. I haven't either, apart from being... I tried to copy transparent. It kind of worked, kind of didn't. I'm already rather well versed in the fourth epoch's 3 empires, Solomon, Tudor, and Trunzen, as well as the angel families that come under them. Yet, I've never heard of him before. If it wasn't for Rhodes, who live streamed the Church of Steam and Machinery's explorations, the Amon's Mausoleum, I wouldn't have ever known his name. I'm taking notes this time. Okay, so we have ancient sun god, which had Amon, and that whole thing. He long perished, hidden in the dark, scheming something. Klein sighed inwardly. Audrey subconsciously, because the computers being all fucky today, so I don't want to deal with it, so we're just going old school with a pen and paper. Audrey subconsciously glanced at Mr. Hangman and discovered him shaking his head as well. Amon is the king of angels, so it doesn't make sense for Adam to not be one. There should be records in the City of Silver. Audrey looked at Derek. For some reason, Derek easily understood what was on Miss Justice's mind. Okay. There should be records of the City in Silver. Audrey looked at Derek. For some reason, Derek easily understood what was on Miss Justice's mind. He said in slight embarrassment, "We do not know about Adam, just like we don't know about Amon. I was previously searching for ancient tomes related to the King of Angels. I believe that I was lacking in clear as my sequence was still low at the time. I will continue searching for information on this. King of Angels." Katlia moved her fingers indiscernibly as she memorized the phrase. She knew that Miss Justice would definitely answer if she asked so many waiting. She directly asked, "Amon is a King of Angel, that all you're referring to?" "Yes." To thank Ma'am Hermit for her generosity, Audrey explained in detail. In the records of the City of Silver and creator of many angels attending to him, among the leader of the angels who were closest to the throne of God were deemed King of Angels. Hold up. Okay, so we got Ancient Sun God and Amon. So the Ancient Sun God was Big Boy on top. I know, but every time they fucking redo the, lore and the history, I feel like it adds so much more to it. Among the leader of the closest throne of God, I haven't managed to confirm any kings of angels on the king of fated warriors who originate from the ancient tomes of the City of Silver. His title was Tail Devourer. The second is Medici, for whom I mentioned. We are still unsure of his title. The third is a guess. We suspect that Amon is an angel of time among the King of Angels. Since he is a King of Angels, Adam, who is also the son of the Creator, is very likely one as well. Haven't managed to confirm many. I don't even know the term King of Angels, but you have already grasped half of them. That's not many. None of your sequences are higher than mine. Katlia nearly became speechless. Only at this point did Emlyn really understand the meaning behind King of Angels. He decided to use this names to seek out traces of the King of Angels via the secret historical records the Sanguine had in their control. After he returned to the real world, Katlia fell silent for 2 seconds before saying, "Mr. Sun, you were once possessed by Amon." Yes, it was his avatar, Derek answered honestly. However, he was purified by Mr. Fool, who wasn't injured at all. Purified by Mr. Fool, Katlia couldn't hold back the urge to look at the end of the long bronze table. She originally imagined that she had a general idea for Mr. Fool's state, believing that he was still in a state of reawakening and was unable to use much of his powers. This was why he sought the identity of Sea God and obtained that scepter. However, the present situation shook the foundation of her speculation. She felt that Mr. Fool was like an iceberg. What was hidden beneath the surface was even more terrifying and unfathomable. He easily thwarted Amon's plans. Under certain situations, he can briefly break through the restrictions and produce strength at a level of a god. Katlia's heart sank as she didn't ask further. She cautiously shut her mouth. At this moment, Audrey had thought of something that puzzled her because of the topic. She proactively asked Ma'am Hermit after Amon's avatar was purified by Mr. Fool, a worm with 12 transparent rings was left behind. It's said to be the worm of time. Is that correct? Catley recalled for 2 seconds before saying yes. Which pathway does that belong to? I mean, which Beyonder pathway does the Blasphemer pathway belong to? Audrey paused out of curiosity. Catley answered directly without any thought. The Marauder pathway. Legend has it that at the saint or angel level, there are able to fool fate and cheat the rules, becoming a parasite of time. Sounds very impressive. Audrey marveled up inwardly before asking, then what can the worm of time be used for? Nice question. Klein secretly cheered for Miss Justice. He pumped himself up and waited for Madame Hermit to give the answer. He waited to have the worm of time in his junk pile. It's a material which rich spirituality and unique effects. It can be used in particular rituals or be used to create high-level charms. But as for now, I'm not sure. After Catley answered, she suddenly sighed. She recalled the nightmare of being constantly pursued by knowledge as well as the massive amount of information that could seemingly burst her brains. But even so, she didn't know a lot. If the hidden sage had gone mad and could provide knowledge bit by bit, I'll actually be more than happy to learn from him. Catley secretly sighed. All the matter is that it's useful. As for how it's used, have other people to consult. Klein controlled the world to have great satisfaction, looked at Emlyn. Mr. Moon, I have something I would like to communicate with you in private. Aren't the transactions over? Emlyn nodded, feeling somewhat uncertain. Okay. The world immediately requested for Mr. Fool's permission and successfully obtained the privilege of isolating everyone. Then he looked at Emlyn White and said, I wish for you to present to me every action which Leonard Mitchell made in your memories. Why? Emlyn asked in puzzlement. It involves certain secrets. Klein controlled the world to answer succinctly. His true goal wasn't to buy that magical item, but to observe Leonard Mitchell. That fellow has deep secrets, the world as well. For an investigation, he was willing to spend £7,500. However, that mystical item is indeed powerful. Dude, he was willing to drop his life savings just so he could spy on his boy. Isn't the world constantly seeking a way? All he just wants to check up on his dear poet. Okay. The world constantly seeking a way to eliminate the mental corruption in beyond a characteristic. This is likely useful. Emlyn suppressed his wandering thoughts as he seriously recalled Leonard Mitchell from a point of view. With Mr. Fool's help, he conjured a video in the form of streaming light. When the streaming light landed in the world's hands, Klein quickly browsed through it. He confirmed that Leonard really knew the existence of the grandpa, but he was unable to determine if it was understood the danger. What'd you say? Succinctly. Thank you. Also, Cami, how do you know that it's called Fujoshi? Temporarily suppressing any corresponding thoughts, Klein removed his isolation barriers and allowed the Tarot Club members to continue. At that moment, Audrey was reminded of something but the world's private communication. She hurriedly looked at Fours and asked in concern, Miss Magician, do you discover any abnormalities? Okay, I'm sorry, jeez. Do you discover any abnormalities at William Street? That will require Mr. World to answer you. Forrest said, having been pulled into difficult positions. Without warning for Miss Justice to speak again, Clyde controlled the world and hoarsely replied, there were abnormalities, but I have already informed the Church of Evernight and the Church of Steam. If there are any future problems, I might require your help. All right. Audrey heaved a sigh of relief. Informed the Church of Evernight and Steam. This Cattleya found a description ludicrous. From what she knew, the secret organizations like the Tarot Club was a natural enemy of the official Beyonders. There was no room for any compromises between the two, but the way the world had dealt with it and the world he used had made it seem like the Tarot Club was an organization that cooperated with official Beyonders. Colored by the feelings, she listened to the rest of the conversation before bowing and bidding farewell when Mr. Fool made a closing remark. Soon, Klein was the only one left above the gray fog. Chapter 618. I was about to say we're moving really fast through these chapters, and then I looked at the time and realized that took us 28 minutes. So I don't think we're getting through ten chapters today. Yeah. What did I learn? Well, we knew a lot of that. So here's what okay, out of those last two chapters, we learned a lot about, so okay, here's what I think is happening. So we obviously have ancient sun god, who was like dominion over everything. He had Amon and Adam, who were their kids, and then what I'm thinking is like it said that he maybe popped up twice, so I'm wondering if he was around in the first place, and then okay, I'm gonna go back. Okay, so I want to go back to the chapter that I did previously before. Is actually silently created of such a status in no way inferior to a true god. I'll talk about my theories at the end, because we literally just spent 28 minutes on a chapter. Second floor of the Sweet Lemon Bar, in the boss's room, Built Brando held a cigar as he stood by the window. He was looking out and his eyes were out of focus as he wore a dark... It is a very cool boat. I do very much so enjoy that boat. And I like that her name is Julie. She looks like a Julie. Eyes were out of focus as he wore a dark and terrifying expression. At that moment, a bodyguard entered, bent his back slightly, and carefully said, "Sir Sothoth has returned from the east. Let him in." Bilt tried hard to correct his expressions. Sothoth Jan was his assistant, an important member of the Adventure Association. In less than a minute, Sothoth, Sothoth, who was dressed in a linen shirt, brown jacket, and red headscarf, walked in. He looked to be in his 30s and had bronze skin. He had recessed eye sockets and a black mustache below and under his lip. He was obviously someone who spent most of his time at sea. Sothoth bowed rather informally and sized up Built Brando. "Boss, something happened." Yes, something happened. From the looks of it, it will fail. Built didn't keep the matter from him as he sighed. "I have no idea how I'm going to answer this important figure." Without waiting for Sothoth to answer, he asked... Exactly. That's why I wear the hat. Nobody can bully me. Nobody can do anything to me. I should wear this hat all the time. "Have there been any charges from the Eastern Front?" "Still the same as usual. The pirates are still after every ship and can plunder. They even target each other. The Navy is only able to guard the various colonial posts." and are barely able to maintain smooth passages through the sea routes while protecting the relatively important ships. There are often sea battles, with both sides obtaining victories at times. Thotha said that he struggled his shoulders. The eastern front of the Sonny Sea is... I don't think I'm saying this right. Am I saying his name right? Like, I don't actually understand. Am I saying his name right? Zen, what the fuck did you say? Though for moments he added, there has been some recent news from the islands on the Eastern Front. Apparently, it's first organized by the Black Death. Vice Admiral Ehrman, what news is it? Bilt asked, his interest peaked. So thought... Yeah, that probably sounds better. So thought was what a solemn and excited tone. Vice Admiral Ailment really encountered an assassination attempt and was seriously injured. At the person who attacked her was adventurer Garamond Sparrow. Garamond Sparrow? Bilt blurted out, yes, it's him. He really is a powerhouse at the level of a pirate admiral. Even if it was a sneak attack, it happened on the Black Death. There were so many infamous pirates around, but he managed to successfully escape after dealing a heavy blow to Vice Admiral Ailment. He later hunted Wormtongue Mither. Sothought answered with affirmation while sighing. Bilt staggered before sighing. That's important news. There are very few powerhouses at the Pirate Admiral level among adventurers to be able to deal with a heavy blow to the Pirate Admiral on her flagship all alone. Such an operation can only be done if one is absolutely confident in themselves or crazy enough. Only a madman will infiltrate a pirate admiral's flagship and attempt to assassinate her instead of finding another spot. Having said that, his expression changed slightly. I met an adventurer named Garamond Sparrow last night. For real? So thought pupils shrank as he asked solemnly. I can't be sure if I've never met the real Garamond Sparrow or seen the photograph or portrait. Bilt shook his head. So thought for a moment and said, you can search for the newspapers from the Rorstad Archipelago to confirm his identity. So many days have passed. There should be tourists that would have brought over the corresponding news report and Sonia Morning Post. Yes, the government officials, police station, churches, and charity organizations will subscribe to the important newspapers of the Rorstad Archipelago. The Rorstad Archipelago was the biggest colonial grounds of the Loan Kingdom in the central Sonny Sea. Its influence radiated outward. So there was no doubt that Orvie Island, which was within a distance of 3 days of travel, was part of the domain of influence. The official organization and churches all subscribed to the newspaper and magazines of the area, so the non-crucial news would be received in 3 to 4 business days. All right, Bilt nodded as he probed deeper. Do you have an exact detail of Garamond Sparrow's assassination attempt on Vice Admiral Ailman? So thought for a moment and said, it's said that Garamond Sparrow was able to change into anyone, just like Vice Admiral Hurricane Kalangos. It's with that power that he successfully infiltrated the Black Death and found an opportunity to carry out the assassination. He can change into anyone. Bilt's eyes lit up. Nah, that won't do. That's a crazy guy who dares to infiltrate the Black Death and assassinate Vice Admiral Ailman. He caused one of those instinctive fear and distanced themselves from him. The light in Bilt's eyes dimmed. Furthermore, I don't even know if he's real or one or not. He subconsciously shook his head. No wonder the Nighthawk's machinery hive mind will take action and deal with the abnormalities at William Street. I hope they do it as soon as possible. Amidst the thoughts, Klein left the gray fog and returned to the real world. After some consideration, he took out a piece of paper and laid it out on the dark brown desk. He wrote He wrote with a dark red fountain pen, asking about Mr. Azek's recent situation before mentioning how he discovered that someone had a parasite in them while he was searching for a mystical item that could steal the beyonder powers of others. Following that, he seemingly asked the passengers if there was a way to avoid the parasite and inform the host. With this as a topic starter, he added how to learn from others about information regarding the worm of time. This was related to high-sequence beyonders from the Rorda pathway. He also mentioned that he knew that such an item could be used as sacrificial item in important rituals or as a material in high-level charms. However, he had no idea how to produce them. Klein put down the fountain pen, folded the letter, and brought the copper whistle to his lips. He blew at it forcefully. The bones spewed out in a fountain, forming a gigantic skeleton message, but this time the messenger didn't bore out the downstairs and instead tore down the ceilings like many times before. Looking down at the summoner from above, Klein knew that this wasn't because the messenger had become impotent again. Not impotent, impolite. Okay. Impolite again, but because it was spying on the first floor of an inn. He flicked his wrists and threw the letter like a dark marking. It landed accurately in the messenger's huge bony hands. The flames and the messenger's eye sockets flickered as though it was observing Klein, but ultimately nothing happened. The body disintegrated into a waterfall made of bones as they drilled into the ground. After everything was done, Klein didn't spread out and opened the paper crane. He eased what he had been written and wrote the same content to seek advice from the snake of Mercury, Willow Septon. This was because he realized something terrible. The paper crane wasn't Is Willow Septon okay? So like Willow Septon, obviously he's like a fetus in the belly, but is he like have the intelligence and the brain of like an adult? This was because he realized something terrible. The paper crane wasn't a mystical item or beyond or weapon. It was an ordinary piece of paper that had been folded after repeating having the content erased by an eraser. It was beginning to show up signs of structural integrity failing. In a few more tries, it might directly tear. I'll leave extremely important matters that require content before considering it. I heard it as I said it. I just was hoping that we would all brush past it collectively. Clearly was not the case. I'll leave extremely important matters that require contact before considering it. For example, only when Mr. Isaac isn't sure of how to bypass the grandpa or warn Leonard, Klein shook his head silently and rapidly packed the items on his desk. In addition, he didn't dare use the radio transceiver to contact the Rhodes recently. This was because the powerhouse sent by the True Creator was likely still loitering around the areas in search for the All Black Eyes aura. The scent of the gray fog was so equally able to attract the True Creator's attention, allowing him to inform his believers. Today I'll continue being a tourist and relax. Tomorrow I'll begin searching for an opportunity to do real acting. Klein retracted his thoughts and draped on his coat and took his top hat before walking out of the inn. He planned on heading to the mountains outside Orvie Harbor and watch the sunset. This thought stemmed from a popular novel. Its author's name was Leanne Mistang. Yeah. This gentleman was born in Odora and had decided to permanently reside in Backland after the age of 20. His books had introduced the sunset at Miss St. Draco and immersed feelings, believing that it was the most beautiful scene he had ever seen. Klein rode the carriage out into the city and walked to the foot of Mount St. Draco. He took an hour before arriving at the peak of the not-so-tall mountain. Time passed as the sun slowly set, making the blue sea saturated to the left of the mountain peak appear like a sea of fire. As for the emerald green forest and the vast fields on the right, he seemed to be gilded. All the colors bloomed with the final touches of radiance, and the instant before dark gradually approached until it became dark. Ships entered the harbor as carriages drove into the sea, and busy people began running home or returning home to the roads parallel to wheat fields and fruit gardens. When darkness enveloped the entire land, specks of warm light lit up one after another inside the outside of the city. There were like resplendent gems that dotted the velvet night sky. It's really beautiful, Klein admitted for a moment until all the lights from each family were reflected in his eyes. He turned around in silence and walked down the mountain path, accompanied by dark trees. He returned to the foot of the mountain before walking for some distance until he hired a carriage along the periphery of the port city. This carriage stably proceeded forward as the dim yellow halos from the iron-black elegant street lamp silently illuminated the ground, receding backwards into the distance. After some time, Klein returned to his inn. He took out his key and opened his door. There was a bed, a desk, and a chair in the room. Silently sitting there in the rich darkness, they silently reflected some of the crimson luster. Klein closed the door very gently and walked in to the window. He stood at the shadows created by the curtain and remained motionless for quite some time. And the lights outside were still bright. Early the next morning, Klein turned the tap and patted his face with ice-cold water, rejuvenating his entire body. He had already thought of a way to engage in true acting. It was still the hospital where death could occur at any moment. In the past, Klein had only circled the area without much focus. Loitering around had made it hard for him to find any settled targets. This time, he planned on using some time to volunteer work to stay in the hospital for prolonged periods of time. He could provide hospice to the dying patients who temporarily didn't have families beside them. By doing so, he could await the targets he needed. After having breakfast, Klein arrived at 10 Blackford Street and entered the Orby Hospice Foundation. This was a charity organization of the Church of Evernight Goddess. One of their responsibilities was to provide a various hospital with trained volunteers. Klein came to the registration booth and saw a female employee reading the paper, hence he lightly tapped the table to attract her attention. "Is there something I can help you with?" The lady lowered her paper and asked. "I wish to do some volunteer work," Klein said succulently, succinctly. "Name?" The lady looked up at him. Suddenly her eyes froze as her right hand trembled. The fountain pen she just picked up fell to the ground. In the paper in front of her was a portrait that looked almost realistic. The portrait's owner was the caring, a dangerous adventurer, Garamond Sparrow. Chapter 619. Do you ever wonder if, like, Klein just kind of beats his meat sometimes? Because, like, he has not gotten any since he transmigrated into this world. He must be pent up. Because I was like, okay, so here's the thing. No, because here's the thing. I'm not knocking it, but I don't know. I just was like wondering because like Klein, everybody else is kind of getting Klein just nothing since he transmigrated, and I guarantee he was not celibate before he transmigrated into this world. So, I was curious. I don't know. And you kind of sorry. Dude, it lagged out so hard. I didn't realize how bad it lagged out. That's my bad. I'll just give it a minute. It's really lagging out today. I don't know. Anyway, let's continue. let's continue the story, shall we? Chapter 619, Unable to Speak. Orby Hospice Foundation. The lady responsible for volunteer registration hurriedly bent her back as she frantically searched for the foundation pen, which had dropped. I'd purposely drop my pen in front of Garamond too. Except for I'd drop it in like a washing machine and it gets stuck. At this moment, Klein also noticed that she was reading a news report paper from a few days ago. It was black when the portrait escapades were published. I'm I'm sorry, I need to stop talking. I'm sorry. I need to stop talking. I'm gonna stop talking. This area subscribed to newspapers from the Ross Archipelago as well. From the time it takes to sail between this place, it's true that they can only read news from 3 to 4 days ago. If we had known earlier, I would have wormed a new face or worn a new face and thought of a fake name before coming. Klein stood in the front desk as he thought helplessly. Thank you. Let me preach. Let me spit my shit. The lady in her 30s finally picked up the fountain pen, raised her head, and said with a trembling voice, "You want to do some volunteer work?" Yes, Klein gave an affirmative answer. Really shut me up. But you're an adventurer. The mortified lady stammered for an excuse. She instinctively didn't want such an extreme, dangerous person to do volunteer work. Being famous isn't necessarily a good thing. Forget it. I'll switch my appearance and name before coming again. Dude, the way I would love to have the faceless ability. I'll switch my appearance and name before coming again. Klein had the intention of giving up as he questioned her without emotion. Who made the rules that adventurers can't do volunteer work? The lady responsible for the registration was on the brink of tears as she blurted out, "It wasn't me." The volunteer registration room became abnormally quiet. Klein was first taken aback before he felt like laughing. It took him a great deal of effort to maintain Garamond Sparrow's image. After the lady calmed down, she sensed that her answer was clearly problematic. She forced a smile and said, "No, I mean, this isn't regulated by anyone. My impression of adventurers is that they're very busy, they need to be out at sea, and have very little time to do volunteer work." "That's them," Klein answered scrutinizingly. The lady held her palm to her mouth as she revealed a smile. "All right, I'll immediately help you with your registration." As she spoke, she pulled out the form and handed it over. "Please fill it in. We will provide the corresponding training and volunteer jobs according to your request." "I will contact you, and you can always come over to inquire for more updates." She had already made her mind not to put Garamond Sparrow's form on the docket. Instead, she would hand it directly to the Foundation's person in charge and the police. "Goddess, why is this dangerous fellow here to do volunteer work?" She secretly drew a crimson moon on her chest. Klein nodded in silence. He took the form and sat down. Picking up a fountain pen, he began filling in the basic information. During this process, a man with a doctor's gown entered and asked, "Joanna, there any new volunteers? We'll begin the morning training." Thanks, guys. Joanna, who was in charge of registration, had the intention to shake her head. However, Garamond Sparrow, who sat opposite her, gave her an intense sense of pressure. Even though he remained silent and didn't raise his head, she didn't dare to lie. I don't know. I think I'm doing pretty good. I don't think I'm that bad, you know. I just ask the questions and say the things that everybody else wants to ask and wants to say. There is. She replied first to the man that was looking at Klein. "Mr. Sparrow, do you wish to receive the basic training for volunteer work now, or do you wish to wait until tomorrow?" Klein thought for a moment before saying now. He planned on familiarizing himself first, allowing him to show his professionalism at volunteer work after changing his identity. That way, he could quickly help out at the hospital. Joanna cleared and drew a breath and said, "Then follow me, Mr. Gravia. After you're done filling in the form." "All right," Klein replied calmly. Half an hour later, the commonplace adventurer who had a madness hidden in him stared at the abnormally dirty toilet in front of him. He held his breath and said, "Scrub it." I know. I didn't think I'd meet like in real life people and they would bring it up. But then I realized I've kind of I kind of can't scrub the awful digital footprint I've created myself. But it's not awful, you know? I don't actually, you know what? Fuck you guys. Fuck you. I don't take anything back. I say it with pride. Right, you have already received the basic training on how to carry a patient. However, this isn't the most common task we do at the hospital. We're mainly in charge of cleaning the patient's vomit or changing and washing the linen, as well as maintaining the cleanliness of the washroom. Such matters as bandaging wounds left to the professionals. We only need you to have basic grasp. Gravia pinched his nose and pointed to the stained toilets. Volunteer has already demonstrated to you. Please begin. Dude, you know what? You know what? Here's the thing though. I love that Garen Sparrow is doing like volunteer work right now. A volunteer has already demonstrated to you. Please begin. This was very different from when he imagined. Completely different. Klein's first reaction was to turn his back and leave, but he ultimately picked up the cleaning toothbrush. What a king! I love him so much. The people in my life, no. They kind of do, but they kind of don't. So, he held back at his disgust and went over before crouching down. Then he leaned back a little and exerted his right arm. What a king. What a, like, Gehrman Sparrow is really a man of and for the people. I am people, but everybody else is also people. Like, he's really just doing God's work out here because he's a god. At noon, Klein took off his white gown and wore his top hat before leaving Orby Hospice Foundation. With a cold expression, he had serious second thoughts about continuing the volunteer work to find opportunities for real acting. Only when his carriage arrived at Sweet Lemon Bar did he steel his resolve and continue to attempt. I have to become a marionetist in 1350 and digest the potion, so as to begin seeking the clues to become a high seedings beyonder. Klein emphasized his goal once again. Absolutely, King. He's going to become a marionetist by the end of this. I know it. Kemi, no, we don't need to do that. He retracted his motion and entered the Sweet Lemon Bar. He spent 8 pence for an apple cider, marinated pork rib, and a piece of buttered bread, together with a cup of rye beer costing 1.5 pence. They formed Klein's lunch. He finished eating in an unhurried fashion before using a handkerchief to wipe his mouth. He said to the bartender, "Where's your boss? I have something to talk to him about." Since he had already verbally agreed to join the Adventurer Association, Klein naturally didn't plan on missing the opportunity to use the loose alliance. He planned to ask Bilt Brando to contact affiliated artisans and artisans who were willing to moonlight. He wanted an artisan to create an item like Azek's copper whistle, so he didn't need to set up a ritual and chant the incantation every time he summoned his messenger. It was complicated, troublesome, and a waste of time. Of course, if Bilt Brando didn't know the artisan, Klein didn't plan on forcing the matter. After all, joining the Adventurers Association didn't require him to pay. The bartender pointed to the staircase and said, "He's on the 2nd floor." Cammy, why are you trying to ruin my life right now, boy? Why are you trying to fuck me up? What'd I ever do to you? If you've already agreed to join the association, have seen those bodyguards, then they'll let you up. Klein nodded indiscernibly and slowly got up before walking towards the staircase. Indeed, no guard stopped him. Only when he reached the 2nd floor did a bodyguard approach him to inquire about his purpose. Thanks to his reputation as Gehrman Sparrow, he easily met Bilt Brando again. He also saw an unfamiliar man beside him. My friend, so thought Jan, an important member of the association. Bilt pointed out the man in the red handkerchief. At the same time, he exchanged looks with the man and saw the seriousness and puzzlement of each other's eyes. After a simple greeting, Klein got the chair to sit on. He directly said, "I wish to obtain the help of an artisan. I wonder if the association is able to provide any clues." Artisan? Bilt sucked on his cigar and paused for a few seconds. He deliberated for a moment before saying, "I do know an artisan, but he's unwilling to meet strangers. This will bring him grave danger. If you haven't any requests, then I can be the middleman. I believe I have the required reputation to do so." To most churches, mid and low sequence beyonders without any evil intentions could be ignored at times. However, artisans need to be dealt with indiscriminately. Otherwise, the mystical items they create could flood the market, bringing about extreme unrest in human society. From the looks of it, the Adventurers Association, which Built organized, isn't just wasting money. At the very least, it has amassed quite a lot of resources and information channels. Klein took out the Murloc bladder, which he had long prepared. I wish to make this into a ring, mainly to provide one with underwater mobility. He temporarily didn't mention the messenger, planning to test the artisan's ability and Built's reputation. If the messenger's summoning incantation became widely known, it would create quite a bit of trouble. In Sequence 9, Bionic characteristics isn't expressive, even if Built succumbed to the greed and usurped the created mystical item. It doesn't matter. After all, I have a bunch of charms from the sea god domain. Furthermore, it's not like I could find him to settle the debt. This is better for him to be able to organize an Adventurers Association. He definitely has plenty of money and ingredients. As Klein's thoughts reeled, he couldn't help but size up Built. In an instant, Built shuddered for some baffling reason. All the hair on the back stood up. He felt as though Gammon Sparrow's eyes looked like he had seen a treasure trove. As treasure, this wasn't a good experience at all. Built glanced at Sothel and forced a smile. This is a Murloc bladder, right? Making the material at the level into a mystical item basically wouldn't have any accidents. The artisan's fee is £150. You can pay me after it's crafted. A very fair price. Klein nodded silently as he threw the Murloc bladder over. After Built caught it, he added, help me the artisan if he has the ability to fix the summoning ritual of the spirit world creature onto an item which can be used for at least a year. No problem. Built heaved a sigh of relief before signaling to Sothel with his eyes. Sothel rubbed his depressed eye socket and took a step forward. Mr. Gammon, would you be interested in heading out to sea soon? We've already have a few pretty good ships. They're planning on hiring manpower to the Eastern Front to hunt pirates. Interesting, but my right focus... Have a safe trip and good luck on your travels. But my focus right now is to digest my potion. Klein calmly shook his head. Sothel smiled. Sothot's smile froze before vanishing. He didn't even say anything further. As his rejection from the adventure of the Pirate Admiral level, he and Built had already found the relevant newspapers and confirmed the authenticity of Gammon Sparrow. Klein slowly stood up and pressed his top hat to the chest before bowing slightly. Thank you for your help. Built's facial muscle twitched and little as though he was holding back something. He had something to say, but he wasn't able to say it out loud. Finally, he slowly drew a breath and smiled. I believe we should hope for pleasant partnership. Klein sensed Built and Sothel's abnormality, but he suppressed his puzzlement and didn't ask. I can't ask. There'll be trouble once I ask. I have to focus on digesting the potion. Klein turned around and walked to the door before turning around the doorknob. Mr. Gammon, Built suddenly said. The corner of Klein's mouth twitched as he calmly looked back. Nothing. I mean, as a member of the association, you can have cheaper drinks over here, Built said with a forced smile. Do you think I would have pressed on the matter? Klein gently nodded and opened the door to leave. After watching his black vanish, Built stared in a daze for 2 seconds before letting out a long sigh. Chapter 620, Stand-in Missions. What's that chapter that I'm supposed to be scared of? Is it 21 or 24? You also don't have to tell me, but I know that it's like either 21 or 24. Yeah, everybody always says it's Cammy's favorite chapter. We're either gonna read it today or we're gonna read it tomorrow. I don't know which one. Inside the room. Unknown, are you sick? Are you dying, my guy? Inside the room, So Thought pressed down on the edges of his voice, and he heard Bilt sigh. He said in a deep voice, "Boss, that important figure will arrive the day after tomorrow." Bilt's expression turned serious as he... Who is the important figure? I know, we only have two choices. First, we ignore whether Gammon Sparrow is worth trusting. We entrust him with a mission. We can only hope to best outcome. Second, we immediately abandon our business, and Orvie, leaving out the cash and jewelry, to become pirates at sea. I have the confidence to make most sailors and adventurers on the pirate hunter follow us. So Thought paused before adding, "Boss, back when you were an adventurer leading our ships and hurried pirates, you were always as decisive and tenacious. I believe tenacious. Thank you. I believe you have already made a decision. There's no need for me to do anything else. There's no need to suck up to me." Bilt smiled bitterly. "I am no longer a fearless pirate who didn't fear blood or gunfire from before. Long periods of easy and comfortable life have dulled my will. I don't even wish to seek out chances to advance. Those companions who had turned into monsters still live in my mind." He exhaled, his expression instantly turned solemn. "However, you were right. We don't have the time to hesitate. We have to immediately make a decision." Having said that, Bilt turned his head and gestured at the window with his chin. So Thought was taken aback for a moment before understanding what his boss meant. After leaving the Sweet Lemon Bar, Klein strolled by the side of the street, planning to hire a carriage at the crossroads. At this moment, he heard the window open above him and saw a figure jump down. Perhaps after experiencing the terrifying instance involving the Antigonus family's notebook and Bancy Harbor's strange telegraph office, Klein's first reaction was that Bilt Brando was dead. Fair. He had suddenly died after his visit and was thrown down the upstairs, falling to the ground with his eyes wide open. This was just like how he saw Ray Bieber's mother died in the reclining chair back then. The body was highly decomposed and the eyeballs fell to the floor because internal disturbance. How is Klein not mentally fucked up? Like, how is Klein not severely mentally disturbed? Similar thoughts flashed through his mind. Klein discerned a figure who had fallen from upstairs to be So Thought Jan, not Bill Branto. Furthermore, he looked normal, was very clearly still alive. Oh no, here comes trouble. Klein's heart skipped a beat, having a more accurate guess. If it weren't himself, he definitely would have prepared not to see So Thought Jan jump from the building to intercept him before running before the man could even say a word until he took him off his trail. It would be akin to how Admiral Stars was being pursued by knowledge. Unfortunately, I'm currently Gammon Sparrow. A crazy adventurer wouldn't flee because of such trivial matters. Getting to know myself better as an adventurer perk. Klein halted and watched as So Thought firmly landed on the ground. He bowed with his hand placed over his chest. "Mr. Gammon Sparrow, we have a very important task to entrust with you." Here it comes," Klein calmly replied. "I won't be that free lately. This wouldn't waste too much of your time. You can first listen to what it is about before considering to reject or accept it." So Thought said earnestly, "I'm afraid to have no choice but accept it after hearing it. Actually, it's still alright if Bilt Brando and So Thought Jan threaten me to take on the mission. I don't mind changing into the gold pounds and beyond ingredients." Klein thought seriously and discovered that he didn't need to have too many reservations out at sea. Having the strength of a pirate admiral basically made him unstoppable in most areas. He took out the pocket watch in his innermost pocket and opened it. "I'm giving you 5 minutes. All right, that's enough." So Thought pointed to the entrance of the Sweet Lemon Bar behind Klein. Returning to the room, Klein glanced at the wall clock and said coldly, "You still have 3 minutes and 12 seconds. His attitude gave Bilt a baffling sense of ease. He began to believe that Gammon Sparrow definitely had the capabilities to complete the mission. "Mr. Gammon, I heard that you can transform anyone into just how Vice Admiral Hurricane Klangos was formerly capable of doing so." Bilt hurriedly asked, "Who revealed this matter?" Klein pricked his brows and his gaze towards Bilt turned gloomy. The news of Gammon Sparrow had been able to transform into anyone spread. It was quite troublesome for Klein. This was because this made others either think of creeping hunger, made them think of Klangos' death, or they would think that he was a beyonder who can certain secrets and was suspected to be a faceless. The former would attract attention of the Twilight Hermit Order, while the latter would attract the attention of the Church of Evernight Goddess, who would send personnel to investigate. Of course, the Church of Evernight Goddess wasn't a powerful force at sea, so Klein didn't need to worry too much about it. He just didn't wish to be conflicted with the Nighthawks. If that happened, he had no choice but to abandon his identity as Garamond Sparrow. This was at a critical point where more and more people knew the crazy and powerful adventurer who had soft heart while he was being acknowledged and gaining feedback. Bilt sensed and changed in Garamond Sparrow's gaze as he tensed up. He chuckled and said, "There was news released from the Black Death. Tracy, she's trying to seek revenge on me by doing so. One day I will successfully hunt her." Klein nodded slightly and said, "You can think of it as real." He didn't explain how he received his powers or shapeshifting, as it didn't match Garamond Sparrow's persona. Bilt heaved a sigh of relief and said, after 2 seconds of silence, "We're helping an important figure in search for a stand-in." Under Garamond Sparrow's ambiguous gaze, he explained the details, that important figures need to be independently dealt with in secret matters, that it doesn't want others to know of. Therefore, he needs to stand in and represent to him in dealing with the daily affairs. He would meet different guests and socialize with his mistress without revealing a problem. He will take 3 to 5 days to return. When he has already found someone who looked like him, spending a great deal of time to correct his posture and accent, we will inform the good news. 2. The important figure who knew the tramp would overeat and suddenly die last night. The important figure is about to begin his operation. We do not have the time to look for another person who looks like him, so we can only seek your help. Isn't this the true acting opportunity I've been looking for? Klein was moved. However, he was sharply noticed one point. To be addressed as an important figure by Bilt, leader of the Adventure Association, definitely meant that the person was an important figure. Matters that happened around an important figure were often not simple. It contained quite a considerable risk. Klein thought for a moment before asking in a deep tone, "Do you think that the matter will be dangerous?" "No, as long as you aren't exposed. There shouldn't be any danger. You need to represent the important figure and appear at social conventions. No one would dare assassinate him." "Yes, I know what you're worried about. You're afraid that this important figure would silence everyone who knows about this matter after it's done. Don't worry, the pirates have fabricated plenty of vicious rumors about him, so even if this matter succeeds, no one will believe it, even if you divulge in this future. It will only be treated as a joke," Bilt said with a smile as he spread his hands. Klein no longer bothered with the topic and switched to asking, "What kind of payment are you offering?" £1,000 and 3 chances to get the artisan to make something for you. I'll pay for all expenses apart from the materials." Bilt made an offer which he believed Garamond Sparrow wasn't able to resist based on what he had been previously trusted with. "It's not bad. Besides, giving me a chance to do true acting." Klein took a look at the wall clock and said, "I'll return and consider. I'll give you an answer in the evening." Regardless, even if his head above the great fog to define the level of danger, considering how Bilt and So Thought were sequence 7 or even sequence 6. Beyonders, Klein didn't distinctly request to head to the washroom in front of them to prevent them from seeing a problem. As the important figure's identity hadn't been revealed, Bilt wasn't too worried. He nodded, "All right, I hope for a pleasant partnership." William Street, a stout man from Faceac who was nearly 2 meters tall, was searching for clues. Suddenly he felt his spiritual perception trigger as he looked up. Light, which resembled the morning sun's rays, surfaced around his body, illuminating the surrounding houses. The street lamps, as though they were luminous. At the same time, sparks soared on the street as all kinds of supernatural phenomena appeared. Indeed, the Sauron family had sent people over. The man from Faceac, who had suspicions, cast a gaze straight down the street. He saw Nighthawks wearing red or black gloves as black gun barrels covered with complicated patterns extended out of the rooftops. They were aimed at him, while the surrounding passers-by didn't seem to notice anything amiss. He also saw the Church of Sea Machinery's Archbishop in the Backland Diocese, Horimek, and the Church of Evernight Goddess's Archbishop of the Backland Diocese, St. Anthony. Immediately following that, he caught sight of members of the Sauron family raising their hands above their heads through the corners of his eye. The powerful Faceac spies also did the same thing. They had distinctively chosen to surrender. Resistance only spells certain death. There was still a chance of being reparated by surrendering. At 6:30 that evening, Klein once again came to Sweet Lemon Bar, where he met Bilt and So Thought. He expressionlessly said, an advance of 500 pounds. Then you will need to tell me who am I supposed to change into. Bilt couldn't hold back a smile as he gestured for Sothot to collect the funds from the safe while saying in a deep voice, he's the kingdom's highest ranking Navy comrade for the Central Sonia Sea. His Excellency Admiral Amherst Revolt. Hold up. His Excellency Admiral Amherst Revolt, a real demigod. Awesome. Governor. Oh. General. Okay. Chapter 621. Governor General's Office Banquet. I'm probably gonna read how many? Okay, there's 17 pages in this chapter. If we can finish this chapter, in like 15 minutes, then I'll read however long I have to read. If this takes a little bit longer, then we'll stop just before we have to clump the chapters together. Actually, we'll stop just before we have to clump the chapters together, and then we'll start right there tomorrow. Yeah. So if that means this is the last chapter, this is the last chapter, or like whatever chapter that is. Admiral Amherst Revolt, a true demigod, upon hearing Bilt's reveal, a few words immediately appeared in Klein's mind. I'm sorry, bye. Gammon Sparrow picked up his brows slightly as Bilt hurried to explain. This wouldn't influence the difficulty of the mission. Stop after 626? Okay. I don't even think we'll get to 626. There's no need for anyone to display demigod powers throughout the duration of the mission. He cleared his throat and forced a smile. To make the mission not as difficult, His Excellency has specially arranged for him to inspect the Ormi naval base for a few days. This way, he doesn't need to stay in the Central Sonia Sea's Navy headquarters, the City of Generosity, Bayam. As such, he will avoid Sea King Jan Kottman and the Governor Generals of the Russian Archipelago, George Negan. He would also avoid most of the subordinates he's familiar with, and he'll avoid his family, who operates the family estate over there. He will also avoid his mistress, who he's not the most familiar with. This is to say that you wouldn't need to face demigods or the test of the masses. Here, there will only be 3 people who are familiar with His Excellency, and the first is the Secret Secretary, Lieutenant Colonel Luan. He belongs to MI9, and he's in charge of monitoring His Excellency. He likely uses many names, and I'm not sure which is the real name. The second person will be a local mistress. His Excellency has here a beautiful lady by the name of Cynthia. It's said that her ancestors were noble before his title was stripped, and his family was exiled here. The third person is Orvi Governor General Aston Revolt, the younger brother of His Excellency, Earl Revolt. From the House of the Lords is their elder brother. It really doesn't sound too difficult. Besides, my divination results tell me that it's not too dangerous. Klein fell silent for a few seconds before nodding gently. I need the detailed information regarding Amherst Revolt. We've already prepared everything. This is the photograph. These are the descriptions of any unique traits hidden in the body. These are the unique points of his accent. And these are the common words he uses. These are the different reactions and attitudes he has towards different matters. And here are the detailed information regarding the interactions with Lewin, Cynthia, and Aston. Bilt was delighted as he produced all the information he received for Admiral Amherst Revitt. Klein first look at the photograph. He saw a middle-aged gentleman with black hair and blue eyes. He had a strict old-fashioned demeanor, and his hair was a lot more voluminous than most Lowen men. He nodded indiscernibly before looking up. I know this is a lot of information, but I believe that you can memorize them all in 2 days. You have to be very professional in such matters. Before Bilt finished his sentence, he subconsciously took a step back because the person before him wasn't Cameron Sparrow, but Amherst Revitt. And strict and arrogant vibes he exuded was no different from the actual person. Holy Lord of Storms, this is almost a miracle. Bilt looked up at him up and down, and he couldn't help but be amazed. However, you can be another 3 centimeters taller, your legs can be thicker, but it's fine. There's no rush. His Excellency will arrive the day after tomorrow. With the Imperial Navy Fleet, Central Sonia Fleet, he would inspect the Orby Naval Base in the mornings and attend a banquet held at the Governor General's office. I have an invitation to it, and I can bring you there. You can watch from His Excellency's actions and the way he interacts with different people from the side. As he spoke, he received the 500 pounds and so thought had taken out from the safe. He handed it to Klein and said, I hope for a pleasant partnership. Klein weighed the notes in his hand and studied it with a few glances before saying, I hope for a pleasant partnership. Backland William Street. As an inconspicuous member of the Red Glove, Leonard Mitchell leaned on the outer wall of his house, awaiting the preliminary investigation work to end. He had his right leg raised slightly, with only his toes to the ground. He made it look desultory. After a while, he saw that his teammates returned with somewhat complex expressions as he was excited, puzzled, expectant, and nervous. Thompson, is there a conclusion? Leonard's heart stirred as he leaned over with a smile. Yeah, Thompson nodded and answered frankly. Both sides have spoken the truth. They have no way of lying in their dreams. Thompson, with his thin hair, wore a top hat once again. Their descriptions are uniform. Beneath the street is a ruin belonging to the 4th Epoch Tudor dynasty. The entrance is indeed the abandoned chapel. No one knows if there's another entrance for now. Is that so? Leonard didn't delve into the details as he exchanged a few words before moving to the sidelines. Once again, he leaned against the wall. He looked around and expressed his voice. Old man, this is what you're good at. There's a Tudor family ruin hidden here. An elder voice rang out in his mind. You're becoming more and more impolite in our era. Disrespected to a high-ranking people implies being made into living sacrifices. Also, it's important for there to only be one Tudor family ruin in Backland. Are they lying? Leonard asked softly. The elder's voice chuckled and said, No, they just don't know enough. If my theories are correct, this ruin likely belongs to the Tudor Trunson United Empire. What? Leonard was stunned. This was an ancient dynasty he had never heard of before. The slightly aged voice chuckled. What an unknowledgeable kid. After the Solomon Empire was first destroyed, it was replaced by the Tudor Trunson United Empire. It's a double consul ruled all of the North Continent. Double consul. Klein ruminated over the phrase. The slightly aged voice chuckled and sighed. In the ruins underground, there should be 41 inverted candlesticks on the left and 40 on the right. I knew that from my test. Actually, hold the fuck up. Did we know that? Or did I just find out that it should be 41 and 40? Two of them look like they belong to the throne of a giant, and it might be where Alistair Tudor became the Blood Emperor. Leonard frowned slightly before easing them. He said with a relaxed smile, there must be quite a lot of secrets hidden in there, of course, but you're qualified to know it. The slightly aged voice hissed. Leonard curled his lips indiscernibly and said, what follows next is the exploration of the ruins. A slightly aged voice chuckled before falling silent. A few minutes later, Clyde saw Archbishop St. Anthony's and the Church of Steam Archbishop Hormick, and their conversation they returned to their own camps. Immediately following that, Hormick ordered all machinery hive-mind personnel to leaving the area of the Church of the Evernight Goddess Nighthawks. What happened? Upon seeing the scene, Leonard was filled with puzzlement. At that moment, all the Nighthawks heard Archbishop St. Anthony's voice. All Red Gloves gather. The other Nighthawks are to lead the mirror world. or to leave the mirror world. Find a reason to evacuate all the residents in the area and promise them compensation for their property. After all the residents evacuate, the Red Gloves and I will destroy the ruin that stems from the evil era. Entry is forbidden. It will be directly destroyed. May the goddess bless us all. This, Leonard never expected such a development. Sorry. 7:30 in the evening, the Orby Governor General's office. Klein changed into So-Thought's appearance as he wore a black tailcoat and a bow tie of the same color. He followed Bilt into the banquet hall. The temperature inside was that of a spring, and a gigantic chandelier hung from the ceiling, and a shimmering candlelit illuminated the grounds like it was daytime. In the corner of the right, there was musicians dressed in vests and bow ties, playing a brisk tune. On the left were long tables. On top, the roasted chicken, pan-fried foie gras, stewed lamb, Backlund-styled roasted goose, Ordora lobsters, and butter and cheese, and the other delicacies. Despite the distance, Klein could still catch a whiff of the fragrance wafting over. He planned on getting a plate and filling it with food. At this moment, Bilt tugged at his collar in a reverse manner. He leaned his head over and suppressed his voice. Remember the etiquette as required by such banquets. Our current goal is to observe His Excellency's actions, so just taking a cup of wine would do. There were misty champagne here, Armour grape wine, and Solville red wine, all famous alcohols that were seldom seen outside. You can drink some, but not a lot. We have to maintain sufficient sobriety. Yes, try to just go with the motions when drinking. Klein restricted his gaze and nodded. The two of them took a cup of golden champagne whose minute bubbles were like mist from the red-vested waiters who passed by them. Then they moved towards the banquet's highlights, where Amherst Revolt stood wearing his dark blue Navy Admiral's uniform. With their standing, they naturally had no way of approaching the Admiral's. All they could do was observe his every action from the slight distance. Amherst's figure was normal. It doesn't look that fit. The corners of his mouth drooped a little, indicating his actual age. He doesn't have a beard. His blue eyes seem to hide an authority that one cannot reject or define against. His dark blue Admiral uniform is starched well. There's a red lanyard on his shoulder which joins the chest, where there are all sorts of medals. His sleeves have golden cufflinks, his accentuating his epaulets and the same color. His epaulets are split into 3 parts from inside out. There's an embodied crown with rubies and crossed spectator for swords. 4 stars made of diamonds. Klein began to scrutinize and use his face's power to memorize all the detailed characteristics from the Navy Admiral, as well as the attitude he used when he was talking to different people. During this process, he only took a sip of misty champagne and didn't take note of its taste. After he had mostly gathered all the information, Klein exhaled, allowing his mind to rest. The great drain on his mind made him hungry, hence he placed the wine cup on his tray of red-vested waiter, and he planned to get some food from the long table. At that moment, Bilt leaned over and said, "His Excellency has given him the signal. We will be meeting him at an agreed location." Klein retracted his gaze from the roasted chicken and swept a cold glance at Bilt. Bilt shuddered as he hurriedly turned around, leading Garamond Sparrow from the floor-to-ceiling window and into the garden. After walking to nearly a minute in the secluded path, he paused and pointed to Klein's face. "You can change into His Excellency's appearance. Just pretend that you're a tramp who looks like him." Klein nodded gently and extended his palm to wipe his face. He did so to conceal the disgusting tendrils and granulates that might appear on his face when changing his appearance. By the time he lowered his palm, Bilt saw a middle-aged gentleman who looked somewhat like Amherst Reverend. Very good. Bilt took a few steps forward, came to the entrance of the sun-dried room, and extended his hand and pushed open the unlocked door. Amherst Reverend was still wearing his eye-catching Admiral's uniform. His body was standing sideways to the door as he observed the garden outside by the window. At that moment, he turned his head and cast his gaze onto the person who resembled him. The indiscernible pressure and might made Klein involuntarily lower his head. Amherst Reverend's gaze did not stop there as it slowly moved to Bilt. He said without any tinge of emotions, "This isn't the tramp you mentioned before. He's a beyonder." Chapter 622, Temporary Contract. Amherst Reverend's descriptive words, which weren't questions, Bill's forehead instantly broke into a cold sweat. Theory on what? Like, on what I think is happening? What theory? Like, theory on everything? Or what I think is going on with this whole, like, Amherst Reverend stuff? And, like, because I think we're gonna meet... Did I have a theory earlier on? Because here's the thing, I think we're about to meet probably, like, some sort of, like, King of Angels in the next couple chapters. Like, we're about to meet someone big in the next couple chapters. I also think it's interesting about this whole, like, Tudor Trunzen, like, alliance that they had going on with their stuff. I don't really think I had any theories earlier on. I think I was just reading. I normally come up with my theories after I finish reading, because then I reread it a couple times and go over it, and then that's why I do it on TikTok. That way I can, like, articulate the stupid that's about to come out of my mouth. He turned to Gape, hoping to explain himself, but finally he plopped on his knees and said under the indiscernible pressure, "Admiral of Excellency, the tramp from before suddenly died of an illness. I had no choice but to find an adventurer who can shapeshift. At this moment in time, Klein was too nervous. This was because Amherst Reverend had already noticed him during the banquet." There was no reason for him to only recognize him as a Beyonder, only now for him to agree to the meeting and not directly avoid the risk meant that Bilt had hired. Not worried at all, this was the confidence of a demigod, otherwise his Beyonder pathway was able to avert disaster ahead of time. Klein raised his head with great difficulty as he cast his gaze towards the Navy Admiral beside him. "Quite strong," Amherst Reverend commented without an expression. He continued looking at the genuflecting Bilt and said, "Do not try to use your under-the-table smarts in front of me. An ordinary person and a Beyonder in the world are different, and I'm a follower of order, making me able to be certain of this. Of course, it's identical to what's written on the information. This admiral is inclined to expounding on certain things. I have remained this point, but a completely different style from me and Garrett Sparrow." Klein retracted his gaze and thought as he cast to the ground, as he was unable to withstand the pressure. Amherst Reverend took one step forward, lying is the first mistake you committed. Not being cautious is the second. Honestly, these are pretty long chapters, so I might stop either this chapter or next chapter. Because I don't know if I'm going to have enough to get to chapter 226. Yes, it's quite coincidental. Klein nearly said the same thing. If not for his confirmation about the Great Fog, he would have suspected that he was being set up with legendary creatures or a grade 0 sealed artifact. Bilt's pupils contract. Are we going to see the Quill coming up at any point? This is kind of giving Quill vibes, you know? Constricted as he snapped into his senses, he discovered that due to the horror and fear, all of the thoughts about this grasped on the final life-saving straw. He had lots of caution brought about his experts, having not considered whether Garrett Sparrow's appearance was a coincidence or not. I saw the word! Like I just said, it's giving Quill vibes. The tramp had suddenly died on the day. It's giving Quill vibes. He arrived at the Sweet Lemon Bar, and more Bilt thought about it, the more he felt as though he had fallen for some indiscernibly planned trap. I fucking knew it. I called that shit. It's... As Amherst Reverend watched Bilt's expression change with enlightenment and regret, he nodded gently and said, "My father, the deceased Earl Reverend, once taught me this. Bilt, you should be thankful for his benevolence. Bilt, tense mood was instantly instantly as he felt extremely moved. He thought Amherst Reverend, who was close to a god than man, would exclude him on the spot as to warn all the adventurers who were under him. He knew that he would choose to pardon him. Your Excellency, Bilt was momentarily unable to form a sentence. Amherst maintained his stern expression and said in a deep voice, "There's a second half of the saying that is punish them for their second mistake. Bilt, do you know what you should do in the future?" The genuflecting Bilt immediately straightened his back and pressed his right fist to his chest. "I'll be of the utmost loyal to you, Your Excellency." Amherst nodded and turned to Klein. "What's your name?" "That depends on which identity you're asking about." Klein lampooned inwardly and calmly replied, "My David." Garamond Sparrow. Amherst Reverend suddenly fell silent for 2 seconds as the atmosphere in sedentary room seemed to freeze. Justice Klein couldn't help but feel uneasy. Amherst finally said, "So it's you." "Your Excellency, you sound as though you know me. I'm just an ordinary military informant. I only exchanged some bounty through you. I haven't even made any reimbursement claims." Klein suddenly mumbled as he felt less and less confident. Amherst nodded and said to Bilt and Klein, "The plan will proceed as per normal. However, we do need to sign a contract." "A contract?" Klein released his pressure with great difficulty as he raised his head to look at Amherst. Amherst didn't provide any further explanation. He lifted up the paper and pen and long prepared for the window still and wrote something on it. Every time he made contact with his pen, the golden glow would emanate. The solemnity and wholeness made it seem like he was penning a law. Clyde narrowed his eyes slowly and the vision turned blurry. He couldn't help but lower his head again. After an unknown period of time, Amherst stopped writing and picked up the piece of paper. He said to Klein, "Sign your name at the end. If the conditions aren't satisfactory, you can choose not to sign." "Do you think I have a lack of guts to sign it?" Klein lampooned. Klein, don't sign it. Klein, don't sign it. Don't sign it, please." As he watched Bilt stand up, he received the pen and paper and handed it to Klein. The conditions on the piece of paper were few and simple. Most of them restricted Garamond Sparrow's actions when acting as Amherst Reverend. It included, but was not limited to, voluntarily exposing any problems, not using his identity to engage in acts that were adversarial to Amherst, as well as not making any intimate contact with Miss Cynthia, etc. A thought which important figures wouldn't care about the chastity of their mistresses. This admiral is indeed an old-fashioned man. However, not such a person either. Klein had hid his curiosity and asked as though it was an academic question. "What if Miss Cynthia chooses to make intimate contact with me?" "See, I told you." Klein's down. In between the lines, he was saying that with too distant and resistant, make it easier for Cynthia to notice a problem as he was asking how it should balance the act. "It's fine," Amherst said without any expression. "During the contract." That's crazy. During the contact with spiritual world creatures. This is the first time seeing another contract. Furthermore, the former use of power of the underworld. This contract is only between two parties. Is this a demigod beyond our power of Admiral Amherst? The Arbiter Pathway. Klein shot a glance at the dates and discovered that it lasted 5 days. Is he confident that he will return within 5 days, or is his level only capable of implementing a contract for 5 days? Klein read the conditions once again before taking the fountain pen and wrote the name Garamond Sparrow. With the final character written, he saw the words on the piece of paper emit a gold glow as they condensed into a resplendent luster. Amidst the resplendent luster, the piece of paper rapidly dissipated and vanished. I thought it had fused with the world's rules. An invisible and faint gray fog gently rippled around him as Klein clearly sensed layers of indiscernible restrictions placed on him. These restrictions quickly melted into his body, temporarily becoming one with the spirit body and physical flesh. The gray fog can block out bad or good luck from external sources from any certain extent, but it's unable to screen a contract I signed. That's right, if it can screen it, the contract with the messenger wouldn't have been valid. Klein gazed at Amherst Reverend once again in enlightenment. The Admiral had already converged his might as he produced the dark gold charm in his palm. On it were the symbols of the magical labels representing the Sword of Judgment, Its entire body was converged in somber, giving one of the feeling that it was part of a codex. This is a high-level charm using my blood, a 4th Epoch Ancient Codex in the Royal Family Grade 0 sealed artifact, Amherst said calmly. Its name is Ninth Law. When it's injected with minute amounts of spirituality, it can produce a might that's similar to mine. This can be done even in ordinary people. Without you'll find it very difficult to pretend to be me. Indeed, the might I show in a disguised state is only superficial. It's fine fooling others, usually, but once there's a need to shock and awe any subordinate, there would be useless. Klein secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Amherst continued, with your present strength, you should be able to withstand the usage. Though it can induce unnecessary restriction on the target, making them be extremely disadvantageous state. This way, even if a demigod were to sound you out, you'll be able to scare him away. If no mishaps happen by the end of everything, and if you need to use it, then it'll be yours to keep. It can be yours for a year. Klein was first taken aback before he felt a strong sense of delight. He finally had another high-level charm ever since the time he used one which was created by the mutated sun sacred emblem. Although such an item had time limitation and was a single use, a pro was that it didn't have any negative side effects. Of course, the stringent requirements that were needed to create one made them very rare in number. As expected of a demigod, he's a lot more generous than Brittig, a tramp and an adventurer at the pirate admiral level and different in cost. As Klein thought in happiness, he silently extended his palm and received the high-level charm named Ninth Law. Then he saw Amherst remove his belt. After a brief silence, Klein kept the embarrassment in control as he took off the clothes without an expression on his face. Soon he had switched clothes with Amherst and had donned the dark blue scratching admiral uniforms. After watching Amherst and Bilt walk off through the secluded path of the garden, Klein calmly adjusted his buttons and turned to look at the glass window. Under the dark night and the crimson moonlight, the glass window was like a mirror. It vaguely reflected Klein's present looks. He had black hair, which was neatly combed, blue and profound eyes, slightly droopy cheeks, and a beardless face, and an old-fashioned but stern demeanor, all well dressed in the dark blue attire with the lanyard, medals, and epaulets. Klein twitched the corners of his mouth as he silently said to himself, "From this moment forth, I am a Navy Admiral." Chapter 623, First Night. Not much has happened. They're not really long chapters, but they're like longer chapters. Sometimes Cuttlefish just be doing that though. Sometimes he just be doing longer chapters. This might be my last chapter. Yeah, this might be my last chapter. We're gonna see. Because how many chapters? We read like 6 today. That's pretty good. And then we'll read the rest tomorrow. I feel like shit's about to go down tomorrow, so we'll probably have like a really big reading day tomorrow, which I'm okay with. Okay, as he touched the Ninth Law charm in his pocket, chapter 623, First Night. As he touched the Ninth Law charm in his pocket, Klein adjusted his height and details regarding the appearance, making him look identical to Amherst holy fucking shit. Reveled. He walked out the sundry door, using another door, and walked down the silent corridor. Back into the Governor General's office. On the way, waiters and maidservants were occasionally passed by him, but no one dared to look straight at him. Just catching sight of the admiral uniform would have them scurrying to the sides as they bowed, their heads lowered. Any person the same height could probably find his way into the banquet hall when donning these clothes. I have to say, acting as an important figure can be easier than acting like an ordinary person. Klein continued looking straight as he maintained his somber attitude. He walked towards the path paved with the black brick in the unhurried fashion. It might have been the monocle. It's on the ground. I would have to grab it. Also, side note, I saw he had a rivalry and then I saw someone ask if it was good. It's good. Yep, it's good. It made me proud to be a Canadian. Canadian production. Canadian actors. I dropped this monocle. Honestly, no wonder the monocle was so smashed up. I drop this thing all the time. Now it's just the rim, but still drop it all the time. As soon as he heard beautiful methodic words as elegant walls, lamps, and burning with gas illuminating the dark environment, just as Klein approached the break room, he saw a room open. A middle-aged man had been waiting there as he walked over. The man had black hair and blue eyes. His facial features somewhat resembled Amra's, but his forehead was higher and his eye bags were puffier. The corners of his mouth didn't droop. He was none other than Amra's Reverend's younger brother, Ashton. This gentleman once served in the Navy, and he had been promoted to colonial after rendering meritorious. Actually, the word wasn't that hard. Meritorious service in the southern continent's colonies. Later, he got sick of the military career, and together with political balance, he agreed to switch in the career and became a governor general. In the 5 to 6 years he was an Orvie, due to the importance placed on the island's location and resources, he pushed for the Reverend family to mass purchase farmland and estates, allowing his own plenty of property. This wasn't completely obtained through his powers either. Ashton and Reverend family had paid a sufficient price, and they even took loans with the bank. It wasn't like the Balam East Coast, where land belonged to the Fasak people, were forcefully brought at extreme low prices. Of course, it wasn't Orvie Governor General, and his elder brother wasn't the highest commander of the Central Sonia Sea Navy. The Reverend family wouldn't have so easily convinced their targets to sell such excellent farmland and estates. Here comes the test. Klein calmly approached and stopped in front of Ashton and Reverend. Colonial? Colonial? No, it's not colonial. Colony? Ashton looked around and asked in a deep voice, "Have you decided on the matter?" "What matter?" Klein first felt blank before he recalled an introduction to the information he received. If Ashton requested for a private chat and asked for the new answers to certain matters, tell him that the answer will be given to him when departing from Orvie. Admiral Amherst really anticipated this. I just need to watch my attitude and tone. Yes, I also need to use the unique terms and pronunciations used by low aristocrats. Klein generally nodded and certainly said, "Wait a few more days. The answer will be given to you when departing from Orvie." Ashton didn't raise any doubts and chuckled. "You seem to be waiting for something to give you the strength to decide. That matter that Admiral Amherst has to do himself." Klein's heart stirred as his familiarity used the tone of high-level personnel. "Keep your conjectures to yourself." With that said, he took a step forward and walked towards the banquet hall. Ashton focused on the elder brother's back, his expression gradually turning cold. He then shook his head slightly. After entering the banquet hall, Klein surveyed the area and walked towards the long table with food on it. From time to time, he would stop to exchange pleasantries with people who came near him. During the process, he realized that he didn't need to understand the topics raised in the conversations. All he needed to do was nod occasionally, allowing the conversation to harmoniously progress until its end. Indeed, the state of an important figure makes certain aspects of acting easy, but correspondingly, there are certain matters that can be difficult. Klein tore through one obstacle after another before finally arriving at the long table. He casually picked up the plate and told himself that Admiral Amherst liked fish, beef, and lobster, while disliking chicken and goose. Therefore, he avoided foods like the roasted chicken and Backlund-style roasted goose. He picked up some beef, fried dragonbone fish, and Adora lobster with butter and cheese. They be feasting in this. That sounds delicious. As the metallic containers had their bottoms lined with asbestos and red hot charcoal burning under it, or steaming hot water as the food maintained an appropriate temperature, Klein nearly broke down, destroying his persona when he took the first bite. He tried his best to maintain Admiral amorous image as he held to the plate and chatted with the port city's members of parliament, navy suppliers, etc. He seriously listened to what they had to say, stuffing food into his mouth from time to time. He noticed that young men in a tailcoat kept following him behind him. He was neat blonde hair that combed backwards. He had a receding hairline with blue eyes. He looked handsome and gentlemanly, identical to the picture of Amherst's secret Luan. Klein controlled himself and didn't size him up. He wanted to fill his stomach before the end of the banquet. Once out of the Governor General's office, Klein boarded the carriage, which was guarded by bodyguards. He sat beside the white cabinet. The blonde secretary Luan followed him in. As his leather boots strapped onto the thick, soft carpet, he suddenly inched towards the spot opposite Klein. He sat there, but he only occupied a third of the seat. The carriage began moving as Luan took out a stack of documents from the black briefcase he carried. Your Excellency, this is the Orvie Naval Base ledger from the year 1349. Klein extended his hand over and casually browsed through a few pages. What, £1 for a roll of toilet paper? The naval base's bathrooms were renovated 20 times a year. Klein did some simple math and discovered all sorts of ridiculous line items. It's accounting such as this was way too simple and obvious. I can give them classes in specialty, teach them how to make claims. Klein seriously considered the attitude he should show. From his point of view, the greatest difficulty in disguising an amorous was to fool Luan. This wasn't to say that the Governor General Ashton and Miss Cynthia weren't as familiar with Admiral Amherst as his secretary. It was just that his younger brother Ashton might help his brother conceal the matter if discovered something amiss after being given a hint. Similarly, as his mistress Cynthia would be inclined to help conceal the matter for Admiral of his department. Of course, the possibility of Cynthia was a spy couldn't be eliminated. There were still matters of being a chance of being used as a spy, but nothing could be as dangerous as Luan. Those duty was the monitor of Admiral. I can't expose any problems. What kind of attitude would Admiral Amherst have if faced with such a report? Go into range or pretend to be in range? No, the Orville Navy base personnel wouldn't be that daring and hand over a clearly problematic report as though he were blind. They must have a certain level of confidence and a tacit understanding between them. As the information didn't mention this, Klein could only make a judgment based on his experience. Furthermore, he could confirm that either the Orvie Naval Base's reports were beyond Admiral Amherst's expectations, or, holy shit, was determined to be of little importance. Just based on the schedule, it was something that could easily be dealt with. Regardless of the possibilities, I have to use the attitudes that a person with high standing will usually employ. That is to not indicate my stance. Klein closed the documents and handed it back to the blonde secretary Luan. He said expressionlessly, "Put it on my desk." In between the lines and sentence meant, "I'll look through it carefully." To others, it would mean something different based on their standpoint. If the Orvie Naval Base had done it without warning, this meant that the admiral was somewhat dissatisfied and was awaiting an explanation. If the two had reached a tacit mutual understanding on the matter and meant that Admiral Amherst wished to obtain more favorable benefits in the matter, as for whether it would offend anyone, Klein didn't care. After all, he wouldn't be Amherst irreverent for a few days' time. He believed that the true demigod had the means to repress the anger of his subordinates. In addition, he was grateful that Amherst wasn't a demigod of the Church of Storms. Otherwise, he had to consider whether to nod his head and pass the report, or throw the document back in anger while throwing a few people in passing into the seas and the fishes. Yes, Your Excellency. The blonde secretary Luan didn't change his expression. He stuffed the document back into his black briefcase as though he had long expected such a response. On the way back, Klein leaned into the carriage accordingly. To Amherst's reverence habits, he half closed his eyes as though he was contemplating certain matters, but in fact, he wasn't thinking of anything. Luan maintained his silence and didn't speak at all. Height iron black street lamps were quickly left behind. The carriage drove close to the naval base before taking a bed into the house and garden and lawn. Just as Klein walked to the steps, a butler opened the door for him, and servants lined two sides, reverently awaiting his entrance. The living room was decorated in very classic... So much is happening right now. classic manner. There were oil paintings of beautiful scenery hung up, limestone statues, simple and elegant vases, etc. A faint but lingering fragrance emanated the room, one that reached into the heart. Klein, who should have relaxed, ended up tensing up as he saw a beautiful lady walk towards him in a home gown. She looked to be in her early 20s. Her blonde hair cascaded down. When she cast her blue eyes over, it was as though there was a glow hidden within them. While filled with a gentle feminineness, there were still some remnants of her adolescence. She was none other than Admiral Amherst's mistress, Cynthia. Klein held back his discomfort and allowed Amherst's stern face to reveal a smile as he winded his arms. Cynthia threw herself into his arms and tiptoed. With her cheeks by her cheeks, she whispered with a smile, "Admiral, I've already heated the water for you in the bathtub." This means she has someone wandering the end of the banquet. Being a mistress isn't something simple either. Admiral Amherst does like to take hot baths so as to relax his thoughts. In order to ignore how close their cheeks were, Klein allowed his tongue to wander. As a straight man, he should have felt embarrassed while also being rather glad to appreciate being approached by such a beautiful member of the opposite sex. However, the temporary contact made him have zero urges. Hence, all that was left was awkwardness. Very good. Klein praised as Very good. Klein praised her as a gentle push Cynthia away, he got a baddie cheek to cheek, and he felt nothing. Nothing. Sure, Klein. Sure. Knowing that the Admiral didn't like to intimidate in front of the servers, Cynthia retreated and led Klein to the second floor. He was brought into the bathroom as he prepared the bathroom for him. After doing all of this, Cynthia instructed the servants not to come to the second floor unless they heard the bell ring. Then she returned to the bedroom, took off all her clothes, and changed into the nightgown made of silk. Her nightgown revealed plenty of her chest. It was an alluring snow white, and deep in her cleavage was a special necklace pendant. See, I don't trust hot bitches that wear pendants. I live by that rule. I have read enough fantasy books. I have consumed enough content. I do not trust hot bitches in robes that wear pendants. Nope. It was like a miniaturized black rhinoceros horn about the length of a finger segment. Cynthia took off the necklace and stuffed it. Okay, she took it off. Okay. Under her pillow. Amidst her brushing the hesitation, she left the bedroom and came outside the bathroom where the Admiral was bathing. Mustering her strength, she pulled at the handle. Creak, her hand paused. She realized that the bathroom's door had been locked from the inside at some point in time. With a blank look, Cynthia instinctively yanked at it again. Creak, creak, the bathroom's door didn't budge an inch. Man just wants his peace. Man just wants peace and quiet. He just wants to take his bubble bath by himself. Chapter 624, Warning. Okay, I know I said it was going to be the last chapter. But now I kind of got hooked, and I want to know what happens next. No, it actually does feel like... It feels like I'm intruding, to be totally honest. Also, when the chapters have titles like warning and just kind of anything like that, I'm interested. I know, I'm so sorry. I know. I promise this will be the last chapter. The bathroom was partitioned inside. The emanating steam covered the entire bathtub. Apart from the head, Klein's entire body was soaked in the hot water. He lay there in such great comfort that he didn't even move his toes. What a beautiful night. If only there was no Cynthia outside. I still have to deal with her later. Jesus Christ. Klein sighed as he considered what excuse to use to avoid being intimate with her. In accordance with Admiral Amherst's reverence trait, he decided to first use work as an excuse. After that would be the excuse of not feeling well, him losing the ability to have sex, him needing some time to adjust any medicine he had just taken, and how he suddenly realized his true sexual orientation. Yes, I called it! Spit your shit, Klein. Speak your truth. Making him find curly-haired baboons extremely attractive. As for whether this would damage the Admiral's image, Klein didn't feel the slightest bit of pressure. As long as he prevented Cynthia from suspecting that he was fake Admiral's... I'm so sorry for your ears. From suspecting he was fake Admiral's reverend, he would have perfectly completed his mission. The subsequent exploration for those... cover would be Admiral Amherst's problems. What has that got to do with me? Garamond Sparrow, and what has Garamond Sparrow's ruined reputation have to do with me? Sherlock Moriarty? Klein stood up in satisfaction. He walked out to dry a partition while dropping wet. He got a bath towel and dried himself. I'm so sorry. After changing into a hanging bathrobe, Klein inhaled silently as he thought as he unlocked a major enemy in his quest. He opened the door to the bathroom, seeing the corridor empty, with only the light from the wall lamps from both sides illuminating the darkness. Klein felt slightly relieved and was no longer as tense. This was almost the same feeling as challenging a pirate admiral. As he mumbled, he realized a serious problem. He had no idea which of the rooms was the master bedroom or study. Regardless, I have to inform Cynthia, otherwise I would make Admiral Amherst appear strange. Klein recalled the layout of the similar houses in an attempt to accurately find the master bedroom. At that moment, the door to the room diagonally across him creaked open. Cynthia, who was draped in a silk nightgown, walked over. Bitch, he don't want you. Her blonde hair appeared wet and messy as they cascaded down. There were even a few strands of hair fluttering in front of her blue eyes and bright red lips. Am I gonna be allowed to read this chapter on live? It hid the glow of her eyes as her lips were somewhat closed. She appeared extremely alluring under the dim environment. The necklace of the silk nightgown was very open, as snow whiteness as a deep cleavage was reflected in Klein's eyes. Klein nearly raised his head to look at the ceiling to avoid the intense stimulation. Calm down. You... I feel like I'm gonna... change my hat. I feel like my hat was too suggestive for this chapter coming up really quick. Calm down. You are Amherst Reverend. Besides, you've seen a half-naked demoness before. Compared to an ailment maiden, this lady's charms are clearly insufficient. Wait, why am I thinking about demonesses? Who knows if they're formerly men or women? Klein, we both know that doesn't matter to you. Like, let's be honest here. Klein maintained his gaze as he sized her up and down with a teasing tone. In an instant, he could sense the primal desire, but there was no response from his nether regions. This was a result of the temporary contract. In fact, Admiral Amherst didn't need to go through the trouble. Bro, did he give him erectile dysfunction? Temporary contract. In fact, Admiral Amherst didn't need to go through the trouble. Even if I have the urge, I'll be able to control myself. What kind of situation haven't I encountered before? Yes, Cynthia is a little different from what the records say. Isn't it said that she became Amherst's mistress about 1 to 2 years ago? With them not being able to meet each other most of the time, the Admiral has to coax her each time, and she hadn't had her pent-up desires fulfilled. Why is she the only one taking the initiative today? Does she find her standing as a mistress unstable, or she'd been switched? Ever since Klein became a faceless, he felt that everyone was a fake. Cynthia's eyelids were lowered. The courage she had mustered disappeared bit by bit under Amherst's scrutiny. Her face was tainted with a horrified blush. She was embarrassed, but also felt some pride. Then she heard him calmly instruct, "Help me prepare some coffee and place it in my study. I have many things to deal with tonight. You don't have to wait for me." Cynthia raised her head suddenly, her embarrassed blushing still present. She had momentarily failed to understand what Admiral Amherst had said. Klein secretly inhaled and went forward to hug her before kissing her gently on the forehead. "I'll spend lots of time with you in a few days." Such a response came from the provided information, but he had slightly changed the terms. To be frank, if not for him having some prior understanding, Klein would have definitely believed that Admiral Amherst would wear the same stoic face while spending time with the mistress, even when having sex. He looked stern in whatever he said and did. However, this demigod also had a gentle side when it came to his speech. He was not that great at saying lovey-dovey words. This also made him understand something else. Many people could only be viewed from the surface, and it was impossible to imagine what they were like in private. For a faceless to pull off a true disguise, they had to do meticulous investigation and have ample comprehension of the target. This was just like how magician never performed unprepared. Cynthia revealed a clear look of disappointment, but she quickly regained those feelings as she smiled. "All right, Admiral, your nightgown is in the room. The bathrobe isn't suitable for handling matters." This is identical to the information she rather considerate and knows how to be understanding. Klein watched as Cynthia turned and entered the room. She pulled at the bell for him. He took the opportunity to take off his bathrobe and change into the dark red nightgown with trousers in the same color. Cynthia attentively opened the door to the study and tidied up the slightly messy desk. Later, she waited for the maidservant to finish making the coffee before personally taking it and delivering it by hand. During the process, Klein read the documents and information, acting as though he looked extremely professional, but in fact, he had little idea about the data and design plans of ironclad warships and sail battleships. He was no different from an illiterate. Me and Klein, twinning. In this domain, all he knew were carriers, air domination, and main cannon guns and turrets. When he saw Cynthia silently leave and close the door behind her from the corners of his eye, Klein relaxed completely. He knew that he had finally survived the night. Inside the master bedroom, Cynthia pursed her lips as she took out the necklace under her pillow and tightly clasped the item resembling the black rhinoceros horn, which was the length of a finger segment. She stood there silently, prayed, "O great mother tree of desire, please make me more alluring. Allow Admiral Amherst to be even more mesmerized by me, so that he can gain extreme pleasure from me and bear me a child." Okay, baby trap. I see you, bitch. I applaud the game. Inside the quiet study, Klein flipped through the pile of documents placed in front of him. He followed the handling method. Question though, if Klein got her pregnant, it would be Klein's baby though, right? Like it would be a little Klein popping out. Placed in front of him, he followed the handling methods according to what the information indicated. He chose the simple ones inside Amherst's reverend's name on them. The reason why he could mimic his signature was because Faceless allowed him to remember the target unique traits, while Clown gave him the precise control needed. The completed ones he couldn't understand had notes. No, it's kind of given a vibe. The notes written with the following vibe: continue studying the matter. After busying himself until midnight, Klein reached out the covers of his mouth and yawned silently. This won't do. I need to sleep. I have plenty of challenges tomorrow. I have to maintain sufficient strength and energy. Klein thought for a moment and gave up the idea of returning to the master bedroom. He raised his right hand and pressed down on half eyes closed. He pulled them down and moved his eyes to his nose bridge. Following that, Klein opened up two slits where Klein's eyes originally were and used this flesh to produce a pair of fake eyes. After becoming a faceless, I'm really beginning to resemble a monster. If only I had such a godly technique back in school. He sighed silently. He half leaned his body as he kept his real eyes closed, while his fake eyes were left open to read the documents. His specialty as a clown allowed him to maintain his balance. He remained motionless like a stone statue. After an unknown period of time, Klein suddenly awoke from his dream. He sensed that there was a force attempting to pull him into a deep slumber before infiltrating him. Who is it? I didn't do anything recently. Why would anyone enter my dream? That's not right. I'm now Admiral Amorous Revelant. Klein's heart stirred as he immediately changed his look. Even in his dreams, he appeared to be that demigod. Meanwhile, he felt his consciousness tightly contract as though it was avoiding something. This is different from the ordinary dream infiltration. I've clearly regained my lucidity and I can escape by myself and wake up, but I'm unable to leave this dreamscape. Klein found plenty of oddities as he tried a few attempts. He knew very well that this was sleeping and he could sense the control of his body outside the dream, but no matter what he did, he was unable to wake up. Right on his heels of that, he saw blurry white gas from the indiscernible figure. Klein narrowed his eyes and slightly as he tore through the dream with his psyche, allowing his real body to move silently. Then he pulled his palm into his pocket, touching the ninth law charm. At that moment, the blurry figure calmly said, "Do not participate in the matter regarding Ashton. This is a warning. Quite impressive to warn a demigod. What is Ashton and the others thinking of doing?" Klein thought for a moment and emanated spirituality, allowing the ninth law charm to produce a deep sense of dominance. Then he imitated it and produced the same feeling in his dream. In his dream, with a deep voice, "Who are you? Who do you represent?" The blurry light figure was taken aback before he saw, with a laughing sigh, "As expected of Law Weaver Amorous, you actually managed to maintain your lucidity in such a situation." No. Although Amorous was the title of Law Weaver, he is not adept in such matters. You should stay as expected of Lord Fool. Klein lampooned sternly said, "Answer my question." The blurry figure chuckled. "You don't need to know who I am. As a demigod, you should clear the evening as fated likewise for the times. Do not resist the fate of an era, which is also a trend of the times. This will only make your sacrifice of history." Fate of an era, this trend of time, sacrifice of history. When he heard this, Klein silently thought of a term in the Twilight Hermit Order. However, Klein didn't say a word, nor did he say those words. This was because Admiral Amorous would be him for the next few days. After seeing Law Weaver Amorous fall into silence, the blurry figure didn't say another word and turned into an emanating white glass before vanishing from the dream. Chapter 625. Okay, we're gonna stop here. We're gonna stop here. And then we'll pick up tomorrow. Because I feel like there's nothing that's like holding me from stopping. But I know tomorrow there's gonna be something that's holding me from stopping. So we're gonna stop here and then I'll pick it back up. Unless, should I read this chapter? Because I don't think that I have to read this chapter. But I think tomorrow maybe. Say less. That's all I ask for. Yes. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna pick it up tomorrow. Or should I continue? Well, I feel like it'll be chill. Because we'll just read like this chapter, and then if chapter like 626, I'll just read all those ones. I'm gonna leave it. And I'm gonna read it tomorrow. So I'll start reading tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, bye. Thanks so much for coming. As always, love and appreciate you guys. I will see you tomorrow for reading. Are all together. 27 to 31. Okay, 27 to 31. So 26 to 31. Yeah, we can read all that tomorrow. We'll be good. Okay, bye. Have a good rest of your night.